Hey BC, this is Carlos from As the Table Turns. I wanted to come on here and do another artist spotlight. This one's going to be about Dexter Gordon. Yeah, and it's another jazz artist. I know. I promise the next one will not be a jazz artist, but I do have a lot of jazz, and I am a jazz lover. So yeah, so this one's going to be about Dexter Gordon. Long, tall Dexter is what people call him. He's 6'6". He was, you can see on here, he's a good-looking man, and dressed really nice, very sophisticated. Debonair, kind of, had charisma, probably did not have a hard time with the ladies at all. I think he could be the life of the party, you know, but he seems kind of like more of a smooth guy, very kind of sophisticated.
And now we go into the land of the sun and the sand and the sand dunes, and the heat, and the hush, and the quiet, and the shish, and it's night in Tunisia. Tunisia.
He liked to insert the melody of popular tunes in the midst of his phrasing or his chord progression or whatever. And popular tunes, popular operas, you know, melodies from those. He liked to play with the audience. He liked to play to the audience. So I think he really loved live performances a lot. So he once again, he didn't mind being seen. He didn't mind being out there, extrovert kind of. I don't know if he was an extrovert or not, but he didn't mind being in the spotlight, I don't think. Later in his life, he's in film. Actually, when he was a young child, he's in film. He grew up in Los Angeles, born and raised. He performs in various films throughout his life. One he actually wins an Academy Award for Best Actor on Round Midnight, I think is the film. Yeah, born and raised in Los Angeles. His dad was a doctor. Two of his dad's patients were Duke Ellington and Lionel Hampton. I believe he plays with Lionel Hampton a little bit when he grows up in Los Angeles. He eventually moves to New York and right away starts playing with the biggest people in bebop at the time, you know, Bud Powell, Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie. He's actually known as the person to take the concepts and ideas that Charlie Parker had with bebop and transform them and use them for the tenor saxophone. So he was at the forefront of it all as far as bebop and playing with all the big musicians at the time. He's pretty prolific in his recording, like tons of recording. Recorded quite a bit on Savoy before starting to record with bigger artists. But yeah, he was known for his large and spacious tone and sound. It goes with his stature. He is a tall man, right? So, and he has this large, spacious sound and tone. The album that we're listening to right now is Dexter Gordon, Swingin' Affair. He was known also for his ability to swing and his melodic inventiveness. said, pretty big in bebop. Then he has basically some trouble with the law. He gets locked up at Chino. He has lots of run-ins with the law. I think in the mid to late 50s. So he's kind of in and out. During this time, he also starts to decline as far as his playing because of his heroin addiction. But then after getting out of prison, he makes a resurgence. And really, I'm not talking about his entire catalog of music, because I just can't. That's I think maybe 100 albums. I don't know. He just, like I said, is very prolific in his recording, whether it be live albums or studio. But I have Swingin' Affair, like I showed, the one that we're listening to right now, which is part of a series of sessions he did at Blue Note Records. Another one that he did was Go. I do not have Go. His first one that he came back and did for Blue Note when he made his reappearance was Doing All Right. But yeah, I think that was his first reappearance after, his big slump of being incarcerated. Yeah, he makes a pretty big comeback, and then he kind of changes up his style in these recordings. Rather than playing the old bebop style, or even, I remember reading that he also started emulating the West Coast sound and more of a relaxed West Coast feel in his playing. But with these Blue Note recordings, he kind of takes up the hard bop, and he was an influencer for many people coming up, like John Coltrane, and then he basically starts playing like them, learning from them and playing like them on these Blue Note sessions. And then the next ones I have, so I have Doing All Right. It's on the way. I don't have it yet, but then his stay in New York is kind of short-lived. After getting out of prison and doing the Blue Note recordings, it's kind of short-lived in New York. He eventually moves to Europe.
And then in 1962, I came to Europe, Forster, to London, and then here to Copenhagen, to Montmartre.
Because he just finds it more comfortable there. He says, he feels like he can breathe, he can be himself. He doesn't have to worry about black or white. Plus he talks about the audiences in Copenhagen being much more inside, meaning that they understand what he's doing musically, unlike the audiences in America that just want to be able to tap their foot to something and or whatever, the audiences in Copenhagen are much more musically minded, probably, and just are understanding what he's trying to do musically. So he's just more comfortable there. He stays there for 14 years. But yeah, this one right here, Our Man in Paris, he plays with other fellow expatriates, Bud Powell, who himself had his own problems with the law. Bud Powell, from watching Jazz Shepherd, I've learned that, he got beat up, got thrown in mental institutions. This isn't Dexter Gordon, I'm talking about Bud Powell, and had his own crazy run-ins with the law, being a black man in America. So yeah, but playing with other expatriates, Bud Powell and Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark having lived in Europe for a while already, but yeah, Our Man in Paris. Those are Blue Note recordings, but they're done in Paris. So Alfred Lion, I believe, takes trips to Europe and records Dexter on these different sessions. So this is another Blue Note, One Flight Up. On here, Donald Byrd, Kenny Drew, Art Taylor, and this other person's name, Niels Henning Orsted Peterson. Yeah, Kenny Drew and Dexter Gordon become sort of a pair, almost like John Coltrane and McCoy Tyner. Anyway, it just seemed to work. Their sound seemed to work together. One of the things that Dexter Gordon was asked, after you die, what would you like to be remembered for? And he said he would like to be remembered for always trying to improve, always trying to find new ways to improve. And, you know, I think that's just a universal thing of all of us. You know, we want to be able to say that we tried, you know, and we tried to look for ways to improve upon ourselves, to make ourselves better. I like my previous one, you know, Kenny Dorham, that I did. That's kind of what people talked about him, you know, constantly looking for ways to improve. And obviously he did that, you know. Dexter Gordon, he came back after being gone, having to learn a new way to play, having to basically humble himself and learn the new way of doing things, the new sound that was happening from his disciples that came from underneath him, you know, that learned from him, since he was at the forefront of bebop, you know, then to being kind of behind the times on how to play. And what kind of was happening as far as the musical sophistication of where jazz was at. And he was able to do it, you know, he did it.
The great thing about jazz, really, is that it's such a living music, huh? That it's able to live, to survive, and assimilate, incorporate the best things from all other kind of music, and which is really the reason I think that it survives, you know, that continuation. I mean, you have to have heart, you know. I mean, because you lose one fight, that doesn't mean you lose the war. You know, I mean, you have to have heart, you know. So if you don't have heart, you can't be in this business. Because you've got to have heart. If you don't have heart, you don't make it. You know.
And made some great, not that sales have anything to do with it, but great selling albums, you know. Go and A Swingin' Affair, I think were great sellers. I think Go was his best seller, but and the one that he's known for, I think the Library of Congress has it submitted now as, you know, one of the greats as far as jazz. So that's pretty much all I know about Dexter Gordon, all that I've kind of looked up about him. But yeah, if you want to learn more about him, his wife wrote a biography about him called Sophisticated Giant. And so yeah, you can look that up. If you like this, please subscribe, hit the notifications if you want more, or to know when I post a new video. And then if you want to write in the comments below other stuff about Dexter Gordon that you guys know, you guys can do that. And also you can write other artists that maybe you'd like to hear about. I mean, I don't have tons of records, but I'll give it a shot. And but I think the next artist I'm going to do is not going to be a jazz artist, but I don't know if you guys are really listening to this type of music, but it'll probably be traditional Appalachian folk music. An artist, Doc Boggs. Anyway, please subscribe, hit the like button. All right, I'll talk to you later, BC. Bye.
Thank you.